type tailback. 754 yards rushing last year. He keeps his feet moving. Poor tackling by Virginia Tech. He ran out of tackles.
Bush right up the middle, hits the outside, he's at the 30, it's another foot race, cuts it back to the 20, comes back to the near side of the field, he's going to go, it's going to be another USC touchdown and another thing of beauty.
What can you say? Electricity, explosive, fun to watch. How many words are there to describe this run? Look at this, just a zone play, he gets up, coming up the sideline untouched, I don't think he was ever touched, then he stops, puts his chest out. It's about momentum to turn.
You're right, trying to take the lead here. Reggie Bush, left side, look out! 30, 20, 10, forget it! Reggie Bush! Reggie Bush. Bush on the sweep. Trying to come outside. What a cut! 25-20. He's to the 10, cuts inside. A thing of beauty.
That 5-6 yards ahead. Watch this. He'll push it to the outside, right back up inside. Not everybody can do that. I mean, there's about 2 or 3 people in the history of football.
Welcome back to another episode of College Football Radio. And today we're talking about the USC Trojans. They had a dynasty in 2003, 2004, 2005, and it was destroyed. And why was it destroyed? We're going to get into that today. All right, let's go. All right, so here is the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. This is where USC plays. Now, it's important to note that the Raiders used to play here for a while, back when they were in LA. The Rams used to play here when they were in LA. But for the most part, USC has always played here. So this is the current Memorial Stadium. And something to note is both the Rose Bowl and the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum are National Historic landmarks. And what that means is that they can't be touched. They're not supposed to be altered in any way. And this stadium was created to host the Olympics. And so it can hold a track. It can pretty much hold any event that's required for the Olympics. And that's why if you kind of take a look at one of the end zones here, you can see the grass down at the bottom. That's because this stadium is bigger than 120 yards, so it's made to hold a track. So that section of end zone will be known as end zone seating. That's pushed way far back. So USC basically has built a end zone section there, kind of in the middle of what that stadium would be. And so when they kind of have that end zone section on football games, it looks great. So let's take a picture of some of the different shots of this stadium so you can see what I mean. All right, here we go. So you can see that this was one of the years that USC hosted the Olympics. You can see that track there and some other sections for some other events. The Coliseum has hosted a lot of things. It's kind of been that, that go-to kind of for LA and LA sports. But USC has, when we look at the LA Coliseum now, we don't see what we used to see. And here's a shot just so you guys can kind of see that end zone section that USC used to do. Now they actually took that away. They don't put that section there anymore for football games. All right, so here's what the LA Coliseum used to look like before the Rams came in and made their renovations to the stadium. And as you can see, it had the much smaller press box. Like I showed you, they used to bring the end zone section in on USC game days. And it didn't have the chairback seating. Now, the chairback seating looks great that the Rams installed. It brought the stadium up into the 21st century. However, it sacrificed a lot of the seating. Now, the press box is the one that really took up a lot of seating. And like I've mentioned on a few other videos, when you want to install new top-of-the-line press box or premium seating, you don't take away existing seating to do it. Now, the Rams, I feel like they just kind of threw something up. You know, they weren't thinking about USC when they did that renovation. They were thinking about the Rams. And they were waiting for SoFi Stadium to get built. You know, they built, again, a beautiful press box and VIP seating structure. It looks great. But to sacrifice 15,000 seats, they could have simply did that on top of the existing seating structure, and you would have had the best of both worlds. The Rams would have had a top-notch facility, and the USC Trojans would have still had a top-notch facility and a top-notch press box. Now, USC's dynasty started in 2002 when a brand new quarterback, Carson Palmer, took the Trojans on a great season, and they have an unclaimed national championship. Now, the next year, 2003, Carson Palmer won a national championship. The next year, in 2004, Matt Leinart took the Trojans to a championship and got it done. Then in the next year, USC went to the national championship and lost. And as you can see in that bottom row, they were national finalists because one of the greatest games I've ever seen with USC versus Texas, and Vince Young stabbing USC in the heart and ripping your soul out. Now, that game was tough if you were a USC fan, but the fact still remains. That was a great game, and fans of USC were just at an all-time high. They had experienced 3 back-to-back Heisman Trophy winners, and USC's, fame and popularity was through the roof until Pete Carroll went to the Seattle Seahawks. Now that it's been around 7 or 8 years since the LA Memorial Coliseum has been basically had its capacity reduced by about 16,000. If you're a recruit, a 4 or 5 star recruit on the West Coast, and you got multiple offers by USC included, at USC at 77,000, you kind of got some competition as far as USC stands with other teams on the West Coast. When they were at 92,000, 93,000, that was one thing. It was no competition. It was nothing to compare it to. But now that they're only at 77,000, there's some competition, mainly up in Seattle, because we can see Husky Stadium is 70,000. Husky Stadium's a beautiful stadium. Husky Stadium's one of my favorite stadiums. It's just showing that USC that now at 70,000 range, you've got some competition, and it might be time to go ahead and, I'd say, expand the stadium, but what it really is kind of finishing what was already there to begin with, and kind of closing off that end zone section of the stadium where, it's kind of large for an Olympic stadium, but now, it's primarily a football stadium, and it is what it is, and USC needs some help. And by the way, the University of Washington was in the college football playoff semifinal 2 years ago. Washington has gotten the closest to a national championship as far as all the West Coast teams are concerned. Not Oregon, not USC, not UCLA, but Washington. So that should send off some alarm bells for USC, and kind of let them know as a litmus test. Hey, maybe we've got to do something to keep our edge in the facilities race. And here's what I recommend. All right, here's Los Angeles. And this is not Orange County or East LA, just Los Angeles. Here we go. So we've got, here you can see USC. This is the USC campus and some of the athletic buildings. And as you can see, the Coliseum is right across the street. So this is essentially a on-campus stadium. All right, so let's grab the 3D image here so we can take a look. All right, here's a 3D image of the stadium. And the stadium looks great. Just want to say for the record, it looks great. The chairback seating makes it a lot more comfortable. A lot of people in LA and Southern California love this stadium. But we do have an opportunity still. And we can also retain the chairbacks by just kind of building an end zone section a little bit better to where you can kind of extend to the regular chairback seating on the sideline. And that's what I think USC should do. Yeah, that's my opinion. They need to build an end zone structure that mirrors the other one and make it look nice and complete. And I think they can gain that 15,000 back. You know, get back up there in the 90s. Get back up there to that 92, 93,000 seating capacity. And that way, you know, you can still have that dominance on the West Coast, because USC is starting to lose its dominance on the West Coast, in my opinion. Even though they still had a Heisman Trophy winner a couple of years ago with Caleb, I still think USC has kind of lost their, you know, dominance, that stranglehold they used to have on the West Coast. And I think that end zone structure will pretty much get them back where they need to be. All right, guys, tell me what you think in the comment section. All right, guys, I'm out.